Time to take it to the dirt. This is Slingin Dirt, 1 hour of dirt track talk. Now, here are Ashley and David Stremme.
Hello and welcome. It is Tuesday again, and it's time to talk dirt racing, all about fenders, and boy, do we have a lot to talk about after this weekend. The three guests joining us today, we have Dennis Erb Jr. He's going to talk about his season and why he loves Falls Raceway so much. Mike Harrison, 4th Summit Modified National Champion. Andy took a wild ride on Saturday night. We'll talk to him about that. And then Chris Ferguson is going to join us. He'll talk about his new job that he's got and his race that he's running asphalt tonight. So we'll chat about that. We're your hosts, Ashley Stremme. Alongside my husband, David Stremme. And folks, let me just tell you, we had a heck of a weekend. We were at Falls this weekend. It's Fairbury Legion. American Legion Speedway. And
we had no cell service.
Yeah, there's no cell service there except in this very one little spot if you put your phone down here. But, we heard so much about this racetrack going there, and I had my expectations set high. The track, my expectations were here when I actually saw it. It wasn't terrible, but I just like a movie when you go there and somebody builds you up for it, you're expecting like this massive, But anyhow, but the fans and the people and the atmosphere were spot on.
I'll disagree with you on one thing.
No,
we went there.
One?
And Kevin Rumley and Davenport were like, "Hey, you need to come up here," So we went to Fairbury and we passed. Actually, I mean, there's a couple other modified races that were bigger paying. They're at Flora Speedway Route 45, and we said, "I will go to Fairbury." Never been there. And when you do pull in there, I'm like, wow, this place is small. We're going to be tearing up a lot of stuff. I thought it was real racy. We were 3 wide a lot. The track conditions were phenomenal. The track crew had done a great job. You had guys like Scott Bloomquist come in, Jimmy Owens, Davenport. A lot of guys that don't run the World Outlaw Tour showed up there. And then they had modified guys same way. Mike Harrison comes from 3 hours south, passes the same tracks we do, to come to Fairbury, and it's all because of the fans, where I was amazed at Rigsby, who has Dirt on Dirt. Mm-hmm. He made all these fat heads, and the announcers and the fans just, they're kind of throwing up the big fat heads and everything else. Well, anyways, all the racing goes on, and from a driver's side, you pull off in turn 3 to go back to the pits, and here you see all the fans as soon as you pull off, and they'll let you know if you've done good or bad. They'll boo you or cheer you, and it's interesting just the influence they have. It's really cool from a driver's side. But the neatest thing was, obviously it's a 2-day show, was at the end of the night, we were going to go up and go get some food from the vendor area, and the stands, they were just like waiting, coming to pits.
They wait till the very last race is over, and they stand outside the pit gate. And when that last checkered flag falls for the night, they bust through, and the fans just swarm the pit area. So
we left the car unloaded, got to meet a lot of new fans. And then, of course, the winner, Jonathan Davenport, who won the Prairie Classic, they call it.
Dixie Prairie.
Dixie, yeah. Anyways,
ADC.
They have a DJ they put on the back of his trailer, and the fans can hang out, drink beer with Davenport and everybody else. They're just kind of all, enjoying themselves. And it's a really, really great atmosphere. It's out in the middle of, I wouldn't say the middle of Illinois, kind of the northern part, but we had some friends, Patrick Lyons, who's from down south here. They'd never been to Illinois, and they come in, and it was so funny. They're like, all we see is corn. There's corn everywhere. But we had a great time.
It's a really cool place. It's in the center of town. You can everybody literally who lives within 5 blocks of the place rides their golf cart or their 4-wheeler to the track.
The best part was, so Friday, Michael Harrison won the modifieds. We had 2 different shows. They were makeups for the Hell Tour. And they had I guess it was a dash for cash or whatever, basically all the heat race winners. And it was like, I think the top 2 or 3. And then it was kind of like a Dirty Santa. So you drew a number, and then you had to give it to another driver. Well, I call them hooligans, but it's youngins. He drew a number 1, so he gave it to Clanton, which he's Clanton's buddy. Yeah. I said that before on the show. They park next to one another. But anyways, Billy Moyer Jr., he picked like 16, so who's he give it to? Bloomer. And then Jonathan, he picks number 3. Or no, he picked number 2. Crowd's going crazy. He gives it to Kevin.
Weaver.
Yeah, Kevin Weaver,
Yeah.
which is the local favorite. And it was awesome because I told Jonathan, I said, boy, you sold some T-shirts tonight. But it was really cool. And, of course, Weaver went on to win it. And it paid $5,000 that night. So, but the track was real racy. And then the next night, obviously, I really thought Dennis Erb, I mean, he come out of nowhere. And I was like, man, I said, he's going to be tough, you know. And him and Davenport, and you throw Moyer Sr. in there, and trying to think of the 25 there. He runs a
Shane?
No, not Shane. Shane got caught up. Oh, my mind's blank now. The blue 25. He ends up, anyways. He's a Longhorn. Oh, my mind is blank. Anyways, he's gonna chew my butt here right now. Anyways, we ended up going, and I mean, there was a bunch of guys just racing, and it was a whale of a show. Obviously, Davenport ended up winning. Him and Erb got together there, just hard racing. And then
His quote was the best in Victory Lane.
Which was?
Jonathan Davenport's.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find he said, my mama taught me to treat people the way they treat you. That's why I ran him just the way he ran me. So I hope his mama's proud of it, if not anybody else.
So anyways, they run a late model feature, and then they had the modifieds, and Tyler nicely picked up that win. And Harrison went for a wild ride, which
he did.
The track was very, very slick. Really not a lot of passing.
Heck of a cushion.
Yeah, that cushion looks like they had winged sprint cars there, or wingless sprint cars. But anyways, it was a great weekend. I really highly recommend going there, hanging out. Everybody was very friendly. But there's a lot of other racing that went on too.
Mm-hmm.
I know that down at Flora we had heard, you know, I'm trying to think of his name.
Oh, my goodness. This is
well,
why
Gilpin
you need
won.
notes.
I know, I don't have notes. Well, listen, folks, I got home at 9 o'clock yesterday morning. Gilpin won on Saturday, which he come in. He wasn't even there Friday, and he had done a whale of a job. But they had like 40-some cars, a lot of great cars there, and they said it was good racing too.
It shows you how strong modified racing is in the Midwest. Within 2 hours, there was over 80 cars. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it was really crazy. So, anyways, it was a lot of fun, and it was interesting because Bloomquist hadn't been there since like the early 90s, and he was pretty strong, but people go, oh, well, he didn't run good, this and that. And the thing I have found out in dirt racing, it's like, I would say Fairbury's not one of my driving style of tracks. I felt like we fared very well. We had good speed in the car, but you got to really hustle the car and you do stuff, and it was very difficult for me, I would say. And I watch Bloomer and Owens and them guys, and I would say they're kind of the same way. It doesn't really favor their driving style, where you're like backing it in the corner, you're doing stuff. But I will say this. The thing I noticed about Jonathan Davenport, I compare him to, I would say, Jimmy Johnson in the dirt world, because he can adapt very well to just like that driving style, or if he needs to drive straight, whatever it is, he can go and adapt himself. So you've seen some differences there, you know, and you've seen that some guys, you know, Owen still runs sixth. He was very strong, but it's just like their driving style doesn't suit that type of track.
And to give credit to you, because that's something that you don't do often, you put on a heck of a show. If I tweeted it, if anybody has the heat races from Friday night, I'd love to see David's heat race, because after he spun out for the second time within 3 laps, I walked back to the trailer. But at the end, supposedly he put on a whale of a show and ended up bringing the thing home second, on 3 wide on the last lap. So kudos to you. I know you don't enjoy running the cushion, but you learned this weekend, and I'd like to see that if anybody has video of it.
That cushion. Well, the thing is everybody told me, they said, hey, you need to cut your quarter panel up. And I didn't really know what they were talking about till I started looking around. I'm like, wow. So this is going to be pretty interesting. But like I said, it was a very, very racy track. And then real quick, we stopped Sunday at Vermilion County Fairgrounds. They have a little speedway there, and we stopped there, and really neat place. The track is awesome. They're trying to keep it going. It was shut down at the end of last year. They still had like 20-some modifieds. Jacob Poole was there, and Randy Lyons, a lot of other guys. Patrick Lyons was there also. And, you know, we had a good time there too, and it got rained out. But a lot of racing, a lot of cool stuff going on. And then, obviously, Jacob Hawkins in the ROD stuff, he's on fire. He won a couple races there, too.
And the names go on. Davenport, you know, Billy Ogle Jr., Billy Moyer, Casey Roberts,
But
all those
I gotta
names
tell
we
you,
already know.
really quick before we go to break, who we had on the show, Ryan Unslinger, was, I mean, they had a race of people that didn't make the show, which I'm telling you, both modifieds and late models, there was a lot of good cars that didn't make it.
Mm-hmm.
He was on the cushion. It was hammered down. He's digging. And his wife comes up with her kid, and we're standing on this tractor watching a race. And it was like 2 to go, and caution comes up. I'm like, oh, he's got this here. And, like, people were starting to break, and all of a sudden, I'm trying to think of his name. It was a black 42, one of the local guys. He comes in, does this big slider, and I couldn't see it because of where we were standing, and the crowd's going crazy, and I kind of felt bad because Ryan had done an awesome job running that cushion, and running the cushion there was like Russian roulette. If you didn't hit it just right, you were done. And anyways.
Hey, by the way, our buddy Chris Dolak just tweeted us, Mason Ziegler.
That's it, Ziegler.
is
he's
the blue
Ziegler.
25 car.
I talked to Mason a lot, and he's going to kill me. My mind's blank. I'm still not caught
thankfully,
up on
Dolak
sleep.
is here to rescue you.
Yes.
But we'll be back to talk to Dennis Erb Jr. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Slingin Dirt on MRN.com.
Slingin Dirt returns in 1 minute on MRN.com.
The best road course racing in NASCAR is closer than you think. Watkins Glen International, in the heart of New York's wine country, is only one short drive away. Don't miss 3 days of excitement on one legendary road course and the race that can propel a long shot into the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. The action begins on Friday with the Bully Hill 125 K&N Pro Series. Saturday, it's the NASCAR Xfinity Series Zippo 200, all leading up to Sunday's Cheez-It 355 at the Glen. For tickets, call 866-461-RACE or visit theglen.com.
Motor Racing Network has always been your source for motorsports coverage when you couldn't be at the track. Now, MRN is even more accessible with the brand new MRN app, available on your iPhone or Android device right now. This free app delivers all the latest motorsports news and schedules, locates nearby MRN stations, streams your favorite programs, and lets you interact with the MRN team on social media. Search MRN in the App Store or on Google Play. It's the Motor Racing Network at your fingertips, and it's available right now.
This is Slingin Dirt on MRN.com. Now back to Ashley and David Stremme.
This is Slingin Dirt with the Stremmes.
Hang on, before we introduce Dennis, I gotta give Chris Dolax.
I'm so
he's
glad
helped
he's
me out.
listening today. Thank
He's
you,
helped me
Chris.
out so much. It was McKay Wagner is who ended up winning the non-qualifier race and put on a. I'm telling you, it was a whale of a show. But anyways, thank you, Dolac, for
if you're not
listening.
careful, Dolac might take your spot.
That's who, and you can tell my voice still isn't 100%, but maybe that's who we need to have on.
Maybe we can have him on one time.
Anyhow,
joining us now, he's the driver of the number 28. He had a good showing at Falls this weekend. It's Dennis Erb Jr. Welcome to the show, Dennis.
Oh, hi. Thank you.
So Falls this weekend, it was our first time there. I know it's a favorite of yours. You came up a little bit short, but you put on a heck of a show.
Yeah, we did. We had a great run over there. I always enjoy going over to Falls there, and we've raced there a lot over the years. And since I've been out traveling a lot, don't get to come back to some of the places that you started racing at. So to come back there and have a good run like we did this past weekend, it was a lot of fun.
With watching a race, and obviously, there was a little bit of rain, the track was changing, and I looked up, and there were so many people running up front. Obviously, you and Jonathan were up front for the most part, but I really thought Jonathan didn't have anything for you. And I'd go up, watch a little bit, come back, go up and watch a little bit, and I didn't get to watch the last few laps, but I heard the crowd, and it was a crazy, crazy finish. What was your perspective? Hard racing? You guys just going at it? I mean, what was your side of it?
Well, I mean, everybody's got their own views on stuff, but we had a couple of late cautions at the end, and it was able, to be able to give him a good run on, to try to get around me there. And I mean, he was racing hard, I was racing hard, and we swapped the lead back and forth a few times there, and it's just at the end on the last lap, I was still out front. So I mean, he threw everything that he had at me there, and we still were able be up front there, and then on that last lap, he just, it's kind of a
Hail
Mary.
Mary.
Wasn't what I was expecting.
Yeah.
It
Hey.
wasn't what I was expecting.
You know
I
what?
raced a lot with a lot of people, and
I'd watched the non-qualifier race at Unslinger. I thought had wrapped up, and then here comes Wagner. I mean, he just come like a Hail Mary too, and I'm like, I haven't seen this all weekend. And then in your guys' race, it's like the same thing again, and I go, well, I'm in this modified race. If I'm in that position, I guess I better be ready for it or have to get after it. But is that normally what it's like there at Falls?
Well, I mean, it can, definitely the track can put on some good races. And when there's a chance that they can, go for it. I mean, you got the racetrack that can do it. You can usually run, top, middle, and bottom there, and they put on some good races.
When there's $26,000 on the line, I guess you'll do just about anything. I know your nickname, I've read today, that it's the one-man band. Can you explain and elaborate on that for us?
That pretty much started out when I was first hit the road back in, I think it was 99, ran the Have a Tampa series and won the Rookie of the Year that year. And I was, they come up with that name because most of the time there we were showing up to the races, sometimes I was there by myself or just had
Really?
my grandfather or somebody, there. So, it was hard to get people to come and be on the road. You get close to home, you can have some help there, but when you start traveling long distance and that, you just didn't have some people to go with you.
Is it still that way today?
No, actually it's not. I mean, I've got one person that's helping me, full time, and is able to come to pretty much 99.9% of the races. So, I got thankful for that.
Hey, I got to give you Leroy Rumley was talking to me earlier in the weekend, and he was talking about you. We were talking about kind of teams, and they'd been on the road for almost a month now, and he was talking about you guys were somewhere, and he said, it was just Dennis and his wife, and they needed a radiator cap, and we had to go get it off the backup car. I'm like, really? I says, just him and his wife. And then that's how I found out about your nickname too. So it was interesting listening to that story. So it wasn't too long ago you were somewhere. It was just really you and your wife, because he was pretty impressed at how you were racing and doing everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, pretty much, the two of us that are out on the road there. I mean, it's, Heather, she's been with me for racing, I think, for like 12, 13 years or whatever. But, we've go up and down the road and do this thing. We're not married, but, we're real good friends, and she puts a lot of time into it for me, and, we work hard at it.
I got a question with that, northern, I guess you'd say really that Midwestern, I would say the southern Wisconsin, northern Illinois, Indiana area. What makes it so tough? Because it is a lot of guys in that area. I mean, it is just hard racing. Locals are tough. I mean, normally when traveling series comes to a town, they can kind of clean up. You have one or two guys, but up there it's strong. What makes that area so strong?
I don't know, but you're right. This area is very tough. I mean, from growing up in this area and racing, we just had a lot of tough competitors. I mean, I can remember going to Fairbury and that, and on a regular night, and just having the top guys in the UMP series and stuff, just battling out there, every night. And I mean, it's just kind of a lot of good drivers come from this area, and some tough competition.
Speaking of competition, I'm going to put you on the spot just a little bit here. You kind of pick and choose where you want to go. You're not specifically with one series. Where do you think the competition lies harder? Is it with the World of Outlaws, or is it with the Lucas Oil Series?
Well, you really put me on the spot there. I mean, I run the Lucas Oil Series, and we've been following it the last couple of years, and right now I think we're sitting in 7th in points or whatever, and we've had a win already this year in that. So, you race against a lot of tough competition in that series, and when you go over to the Outlaw series, I mean, there's good competition there too. So I mean, they both they're both tough.
Yeah, it's interesting from, I got friends that run in both, and they do say, hey, well, Lucas Oil's really tough, World Outlaws, and I think they're both strong. Obviously the thing I've seen, and I commented on this before, was the track specifics. You look at tracks that maybe you have to drive differently. You go down there, you really hustle your car, you got to really finesse it. Dictates a lot, with it. But I'd seen on there on your profile you like fast racetracks. So is it like Knoxville, Eldora? What are some of the places? I mean, obviously Falls you like going to, but you just love to roll into and get after it.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up around the Midwest, and we've had a lot of quarter-mile 3/8s, and then once I started traveling and hitting some of the bigger racetracks, really enjoyed running on them and getting up to speed in that. Eldora is one place that I really love getting around. Phoenix City, Alabama, that's a good racetrack down there that I've always enjoyed running down. Going to Volusia down in Florida. I mean, along with East Bay, but just them places where you can get there and get up to speed. That's fun to drive.
So with you being from the Midwest, and this is something I really, I'm pretty new to dirt racing, and here in the Carolinas, there's a lot of red dirt, big tracks, and we go up there, and first thing I seen at Fairbury, which my first dirt race was at Macon Speedway, so you know how big that place is. And
Yeah.
we rolled into Falls, and I go, oh, this is going to be pretty tight here, and it was actually a really racy place, but the biggest thing that I had seen about it was the dirt was phenomenal. It wasn't dusty. It wasn't real even when it was wet, it wasn't like big clumps and all this other stuff. So what do you, growing up in the Midwest, are you a big black dirt kind of guy, or are you the red clay type of person?
Well, I've been, like I say, growing up over here, it's the black dirt, definitely raced on for a long time, but after going out and traveling and that, and I had to adapt and change driving styles and that too when you get over on that red dirt. So I've learned to accept that and like racing over there too.
Well, you're past halfway with your season this year. What are the crown jewels that you're going to be hitting the last half of the season?
Well, we're going up to Cedar Lake, Wisconsin this weekend for the U.S. Nationals, and then our next Lucas race will be over at Florence Speedway for the North-South, and then Batesville for the Topless, and then definitely over to Eldora for World 100, and all the rest of them there throughout the end of the season. We usually wrap up our season at the just maybe about the week after, so the finals over in Charlotte.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
That is cool. Are you running one of Barry Wright's cars?
No, actually I was running a Barry Wright car earlier this year. We just switched the beginning of June to Black Diamond from Stuckey Enterprises. So we've been in that for the last about 2 months here now.
What is because I mean obviously they both build very nice race cars. What's the biggest differences between the two of them? Because I had remembered you running one of Barry's cars, and then I couldn't quite remember this weekend, and really didn't get to check it all out. But what is the biggest differences that you feel?
I just think it's just a comfort, factor. I mean, when you jump in a car and you how they react and that, you just gotta feel comfortable in them. And this car here kind of suits the way I like to drive, and just the way it maneuvers around and drives real good for me.
Well, that's
Awesome.
good. That's good. Well, I'll tell you what. I appreciate you being on the show here, and I
we
thought
wish you the best of luck.
I thought you had a really awesome car because you were very straight, had great drive. It was a phenomenal race either way, and keep your head up and go up there to Cedar Lake and get you a victory.
That's what we plan on doing. And we're going to try for that this weekend. And thanks for having me on your show.
Absolutely.
Hey, thank
Thanks
you.
for joining us.
Thank you.
I love it. He's just chill.
Yeah, it's pretty chill. I mean, he runs
And
really
I love
good.
the fact that it's just him and his wife and sometimes an occasional other person.
I kind of screwed up, and I should have. We were a
Well, I
little
guess
busy,
it's
but
not his wife, but
I thought he did have a Barry Wright car because I know he was running Barry stuff, and you know, his car. And folks, when he talks about fits his driving style, doing stuff, Earl Pearson was there. Earl didn't make it in the show, but I watched Earl's car, and he had a black diamond and some of the others. You could really tell driving style differences, and we deal with that a lot with customers. Like myself, I don't like to back them in the corner or slide. I want to drive straight. Kind of comes from my asphalt background. But like I watch Davenport and Ziegler. They both have Longhorns, and Davenport would drive his different than Ziegler did. So it is preferences of your driving style and how you do stuff. But you know, he was very strong. Dennis was.
that was the one-man band. Mike Harrison joins us after the break here on Slingin Dirt on MRN.com.
Slingin Dirt returns in 1 minute on MRN.com.
If travel and adventure is your desire, see the RV you've always wanted at TomJohnsonCamping.com. With one of the largest inventories, motorhomes to pop-ups, you're bound to find an RV that fits your lifestyle and budget, no matter where you are in the country. There's also thousands of parts and accessories available by shopping online or at our 2 locations, in the Blue Ridge Mountains and by Charlotte Motor Speedway. So whether you're touring the country or out for a weekend trip, discover your next RV at TomJohnsonCamping.com.
At Victory Junction, it's simple. We believe every child, no matter their diagnosis or disability, deserves the chance to just be a kid. So we provide a medically safe environment where children who live in a world of hospital stays and doctor's visits are free to do everything from riding horses, ziplining, swimming, fishing, and bowling, all at no cost to the camper. The experience inspires confidence, builds self-esteem, and changes the life of every child who comes here. Help us change a child's life at victoryjunction.org.
This is Slingin Dirt on MRN.com. Now back to Ashley and David Stremme.
Welcome back to Slingin Dirt. We're your hosts, Ashley and David Stremme. Now on the hotline, we have your recently crowned 2015 Summit Modified Champion, Mike Harrison. Thanks for joining the show, Mike.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Are you farming right now?
Actually, I'm driving a semi hauling grain.
I love it.
Hey,
you got to race on the weekends and work to the week.
I gotta tell you, being from Illinois area, so we had some friends up that Patrick Lyons he was from North Carolina. They had never been to the Midwest, and we got up there. It was like Friday morning. I'm like, hey, so what do y'all think of this place? They're like, and I meant the racetrack, and they go, man, there's corn everywhere and it's flat. And I was laughing because they're not used to seeing that, but there's a lot of farming going on around there.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, this year really been a rough year. We had so much rain, and then we had a couple bad storms. And I know when I was heading out to Hopstock, I believe for the Summer National race, heading out 64 out there, I mean, I couldn't believe some of the fields I was seeing, how flat they were. I mean, they must have had some bad wind that just laid that stuff over flat.
I got some, and we ain't going to talk farming on the show. We got to talk racing, but I have some farming questions I want to ask you about next time I see you, because I find some things very interesting of how they can get plants to grow when they spray fields and kill them. But anyways, hey,
Yeah.
that ride you took on Saturday, I mean, you whooped our butts Friday. Phenomenal job, but Saturday, you know, I told people, I said, well, there's like the first 4 or 5 cars, and they're kind of racing, and then there's like a swarm of us that was like 3-4 wide, and fans were loving it. But last I seen you were like headed into the covered grandstands. You obviously you're all right, but tell us about that a little bit.
Well, I don't really remember a whole lot of it, to be honest with you. You're right. I mean, it was a swarm of cars, and everybody was kind of running on the bottom in the middle, and I actually moved up, kind of going into the middle. I mean, I didn't want to get up to that cushion because I knew how rough it was, but I was just going to try to move up a little bit, get a little more momentum going. And the last thing I remember is I closed right up on Jeff Leake's, bumper coming off of turn 4 there. And I was just going to tuck right in there behind him, and that's about all I remember until I came to halt down in turn 1, on my side looking straight down at the dirt. And I don't really know what happened and where. I know that I took out some poles and some fins and all that, but I got ideas what happened, but I don't really remember all of it, to tell you the truth.
I know it was like 3-4 wide coming off the corner, and I think it was just a product of hard racing and a swarm of cars all together trying to find racing real estate. And as Schrader would say, they were just arguing about where it was at. And
right, yeah.
But it was I'm telling you, I was like, when they hauled the car by on the record, I was like, well, I'm glad I didn't see the roof off and all. It didn't look as bad as what I had last seen you when you were leaving the track. But
right.
I'll tell you what, your year has been phenomenal because you have won some really big races. The Hell Tour, they might as well name it the Mike Harrison Tour because you had done a great year. But tell us about what it takes to go into that, and the mindset of also running, the Hell Tour.
Oh, they call it the Hell Tour for a reason. I mean, it's definitely tough. It's definitely strenuous. Especially, I hate to always bring my job up, but with the job that I have, it kind of starts right at the tail end of our plant season, and then it's right through the middle of our wheat harvest season. And like I said, I got to thank the guys that I work for. I mean, they do allow me to do it. I do have to. It does get tough because I do have to work each day. So I'm usually coming back home, working the next day, and then going back out again. But I mean, sometimes when we're a little farther away, they know that I've got to have a little time to work on the car and stuff. So they make all that happen for me. But it is definitely strenuous. I mean, them late model guys, they only count our best 8 nights or whatever, so we can kind of pick and choose what we actually do. I like to run as many of them as I can, but I mean, them late model guys, they, day in and day out, it never stops. And at least we get to go home and regroup, every few days or something if we're not going that long. But it's definitely hard on the cars. It's hard on the motors. I mean, it's hard on it's hard on me. It's hard on all the crew. The wife, the kids. I mean, everybody tries to schedule work and everything around going to be able to do that because, I mean, my family is 100% involved with my whole race deal. It's been that way since day one. And I mean, if they're not involved, it's not going to be involved for me no more. Because it's just how it is. It's a family deal for us.
What do you think? And we were talking to Dennis Erb about this. And I have my opinion a little bit of why that Midwest, I call it the Illinois, Iowa, Wisconsin, Indiana area is so strong. Modifieds, late models. What makes it? What is your opinion of why it's so strong up there?
I mean, I don't really know how many. I mean, I'm from here, so I've grown up with all the tracks. I mean, I don't know how many tracks there is everywhere else besides this, but it just seems like around here, everywhere that you turn, there is a dirt racetrack somewhere nearby. So I mean, I really think that we've just kind of all grown up around the dirt racing scene, and I mean, it's just so I always try to tell my kids to stay far away from it as I can, but I mean, they're totally involved with me, and I would really hate for one of them to even want to start driving a car, because I know what that's going to entail for me. But I mean, it's just.
Well, it'll be like when we had Devin Moran on and Donnie. You'll be like Donnie, pacing, making your own laps, watching the kids probably. But I think you you hit the head on nail with that Illinois. That whole area is you can race so much. There's a lot of hard racers, and I'm not taking away from other parts of the country because there's very strong guys, but you go there, the locals are just, I mean, they are tough. And it's like I grew up 3 hours from where Fairbury's at, and I'd never been there. And we left there the other night, and I go, surely goodness, there's got to be a dirt track running somewhere. And the wife found, Vermilion Speedway, and I'm like, this is awesome because if I was in the Carolinas or West Virginia area or Ohio, it's hard to find a Sunday race. And there was, Belleville was racing too.
Yeah, Belleville was racing too, which they actually got rained out. But yeah, they was going to be running too on Sunday.
So,
I mean, there is so many tracks, but why do you drive past all the tracks that you drove past to come to Falls this past weekend?
Well, Fairbury is it's kind of a very special place. I mean, the atmosphere there, that's what I always tell everybody. I mean, the atmosphere there is just second to none as far as the racetracks. I mean, not taking anything away from any of the other dirt tracks, but that place there, the town all but shuts down to cater to them the race fans and the racers, and I mean they just love it there. I mean it is just. The first time I was there, I think was in 2010, and I went there for the Prairie Dirt Classic, and I ended up winning both nights. And I mean the first time ever being there, and I mean it was just crazy the way that the fans were. And I mean. They come down after the races are over, and I mean, you can hardly walk through the pits. There are so many people in the pit area.
Yep, that's what Kevin Rumley told me. He says, hey, don't load your car up because they will boo you the next day. And I was like, I believe it. And it is, I think even from a driver's side, the fans, everybody, it's just, there was so much access and the energy was high. And I'll tell you what,
definitely no place like it.
If I'm not doing that next year, we're making an 11-hour drive back because I enjoyed it.
Right, yeah, that's and I talked to you there at the racetrack, and I mean it was, I had a show there an hour and a half from home that was paying twice the money 2 nights in a row, and I mean, they was doing, them was the last 2 Summer National races, and they was going to crown me for the Summer National Championship stuff, and I mean, that played a little bit of part of it, but I mean, just the late model show is always an awesome show to watch. Every year that we're there, it comes down to the last few laps to, determine who the winner is in that show, and I mean, like I said, the atmosphere there, it's so fun to go there and be there for the 2 days and just be a part of it.
Yeah. So, with racing all over that you've done, and you've won a lot of big races, a lot of different races, what is your most favorite place to roll into and you go, man, I just love coming here? You could have the worst night and you still love coming there.
Yeah, I know, like, again, we was talking the other day, and I told you, Eldora, that's definitely one of the top ones on my list. I like going there, and I may really say that because it's kind of on the borderline of being so far away from us. It's about a 6.5 hour drive out there for us. And we really only get there one time a year. So I mean, it's one of them deals where it's really fun to go out there that one time, and race, which. I have one out there. I won the Fall Nationals in, I believe, 08, And then I think in 12, I was on my way to winning. I was leading, I think, just 3, 4, 5 laps to go, and I ended up having a J-bar collapse in half on me. But, I mean, that's definitely one of my top-ranked ones to go into. And I mean, besides that, all these tracks around the Midwest, really. I mean, I enjoy going to all of them. They all have their own little characteristics that that you find that you like about them. And I mean, even little home track there, Highland Speedway, which is just a few blocks from my house. It's a small quarter-mile paperclip type racetrack. And I mean, I've grown up there, so yes, I do like it. You know, a lot of people absolutely hate it, do not go there, and this and that. But you know, I mean, I grew up there. You know, I enjoy racing there. You know, Tri-City Speedway, everybody knows what that place is like. You know, and
Oh, it's phenomenal.
Yeah,
Yep.
you know, and I mean, I love going there and racing. You know, Peevely. I mean, it's the same thing. You know, they all have their own little characteristics. Fayette County, which is kind of a, I don't know, it's they run on Friday nights. It's they don't run late models, just modified their top class. And I mean, it's one of the better kept secrets close to home here, I think.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, it's Fayette County Speedway, Brownstown, Illinois. It's right out there by Vandalia, between Vandalia and Effingham. It's a quarter-mile track, you know, and it's just one of them tracks that's almost the perfect size. You know, it's not too small, it's not too big, and I mean it is one of the racier racetracks all night long. You know, that you can find. I mean, you can race on the bottom, you can race on the top, whatever the people like. You know, that's where they can race, and it's wide. I mean, you know, so that's one of my more favorite racetracks to probably be honest with you. But I mean, it's one of them that I've grown up. You know, I started out in '95 when I started racing. You know, that was one of the tracks that I always went to on Friday night. You know, and I mean, then we got tracks like Belleville. You know, little bitty tight.
That's
a little bitty small racetrack, which I always call a go-kart track. You know, but I mean, god dang it, when that track gets slick from top to bottom, I mean, you can watch some of the best races you'll ever see at that place.
Don't they have wood walls there? They bang them off and that.
Oh Lord.
Oh yeah. There's a wall on the inside, a concrete wall on the inside all the way around, and then the outside is wooden walls all the way around. Yep.
Hey, real quick, and then we gotta go to break. I've always said, you know, and I'm trying to learn this dirt stuff and everything, and I said, you gotta be a really good farmer to be good at this because the dirt changes. It's just like this weekend going up there. You know, we haven't really raced on any black dirt and stuff, but do you think you have a little bit of advantage being a farmer and kind of watching? You can look at the dirt and see what moisture's taken or without?
I don't know so much about that. I mean, the tracks change so much throughout the night. I mean, you know, you can. I mean, I can usually have a pretty good idea. You know, I mean, if the track's gonna chunk out and get holy or something like that. Just you know, I mean, when you first walk up there and see it, or you know, the first couple sessions of hot laps or whatever. But I mean, you know, that the tracks change so much throughout the night with all the different cars on them and everything. I mean, it's really just to go up and watch and pay attention to what the track's doing nonstop all night long.
Well, you just kind of blew my theory then with it, but
I can't say I've got an advantage, and I can't say I've got a disadvantage. Like I said, I just try to keep an eye on it the best I can, and you know, try to make the right choices.
Well,
awesome. Well, thank you, Mike. We're gonna let you get back to hauling grain and keep winning some races out there while you're at it.
I'm gonna try to.
All right, awesome.
Always enjoy good talking to you.
Yep, thank you guys.
Thanks for joining us.
Yep.
Chris Ferguson joins us next on Slingin Dirt on MRN.com.
Slingin Dirt returns in 1 minute on MRN.com.
NASCAR returns to the Tricky Triangle for the Windows 10 400 on Sunday, August 2nd. Get your tickets now at PoconoRaceway.com or by calling 1-800-RACEWAY. Don't miss Jeff Gordon as he tackles the Triangle in his final full-time season and takes on names like Johnson, Earnhardt, and Harvick. And the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series will be part of the weekend action with the running of the Pocono Mountains 150 on Saturday, August 1st. Get your tickets now at PoconoRaceway.com or by calling 1-800-RACEWAY.
Hi, this is NASCAR Live's Eli Gold. For over 30 years, you've been asking questions to your favorite drivers every Tuesday night. Well, you don't have to wait for Tuesday any longer. Call Motor Racing Network's brand new fan hotline at 844-4ASK-MRN to leave a question or comment for your favorites.
The NFL plays regular season games at Wembley in London. So what are your thoughts about how NASCAR could expand internationally?
Be a part of the voice of NASCAR. Call 844-4ASK-MRN.
This is Slingin Dirt on MRN.com. Now back to Ashley and David Stremme.
Welcome back. We're the Stremmes, and you're listening to Slingin Dirt. Joining us now, he's been all over the world as of the last few weeks. He's got a new job, and he's racing asphalt tonight. It's Fergie time. It's Chris Ferguson. Thanks for joining us, Chris.
Thank y'all for having me.
Chris, what is going on? I mean, you have got so much you've been out of the country. You're racing asphalt. You got a new job.
I guess a lot of people probably think I'm going through some kind of life change, but I don't know. Just a lot of things just came up this past month, and it's just I've been very fortunate to have a lot of opportunities be provided in front of me, and been very fortunate to be able to take all of them.
That's awesome. Well, I know last week you couldn't join us because you were in Honduras on a missions trip. Tell us about that and what you were doing down there.
We definitely we worked really hard. I left on a Friday and come back the following Saturday, so got home just in time to race at Screven. But we did a lot of stuff. We done a lot of physical labor as far as putting roofs on houses. We replaced a roof on a church. We dug wells for houses, laid concretes, because a lot of the houses in Honduras, they just have dirt floors. We laid a lot of concrete. We did dug some trenches around houses. We did vacation Bible school for the kids. Also did some door-to-door evangelism. So we had probably one of the best weeks of my life, and I was just very fortunate to be able to go do that.
That's awesome. I know it was neat. I followed you a little bit there when you had said you were leaving, and I'm like, wow, this is pretty interesting. But then I also see you got this big grudge race tonight. With Burt Myers, who's from Bowman Gray Stadium of Madhouse area. You do know what they do up there, don't you?
I've been up there a few times, and
you know how they race, don't you?
The people, the drivers and fans of the Madhouse would get along perfect with the fans of Cherokee Speedway.
Yep.
So
yep.
I mean, it's just the same crowd, just different surface.
But I mean, you're not going to drive through the infield after somebody at Cherokee. But you got Dennis Rambo Franklin lined up as your crew tonight, right?
Yeah, I got Rambo and Chris Madden and Davenport. All the guys that I really race aggressively with. I think they're on my side, maybe.
Yeah, you need a big crew. But so tell us about this grudge match tonight.
It's actually a really cool thing. Lenny Baticki actually kind of organized all of it, and he asked me about running against Eric Jones, one of my good buddies who runs in the Truck and Nationwide Series. And this was supposed to happen about a month ago, but Eric wasn't able to do it just from prior commitments with Joe Gibbs. So they actually put in a modified ace, which is, even better because Eric's definitely proven, but I think Burt in his own sport, his own level of the sport, he's at the top of his game, and I feel like we're pretty close to being one of the best regional guys, and we run good nationally. So it just all kind of came up, and I found out I was racing against him, and I've watched him race a few times. So we'll be racing tonight. We're running 2 legend cars that are prepared by Charlotte Motor Speedway. So hopefully they're pretty even. Hopefully they give me the faster one, but if they don't, hopefully we can just put on a good show. It's going to be a 10-lap show about 7 or 8 o'clock tonight, and there's no telling what will happen because just like Bowman Gray, the track at Charlotte Motor Speedway don't have a infield, so you can drive through the grass and take out whoever. So it'll be pretty fun, let's just say that.
Just remember that 8 wheels turn better than 4, and
exactly.
his bumper will help you stop too. So
that's the best advice I've heard all day.
Just because he'll be on the same mentality, but no, Burt does do a great job, and he's very, very, very successful in his modifieds right now. But with Stremme, and you were down there running, and I know, Davenport and everybody else went up there, and obviously he won at Fairbury. Would you be willing to go race up there next year?
Yeah, we were actually we were planning on going this year up until the mission trip kind of came about. I'm good friends with the guy who runs the dirt tracking app, and he's from Fairbury, and he's helped me out a little bit on my car this year. So we planned on going, but the Lord called me to go to Honduras instead. But next year, I definitely want to do it. In 2 weeks, I want to go. We're thinking about, actually, we're trying to plan on going to the North-South 100 for the 50,000 inch up there at Florence. And this year we've been traveling more than we've ever have, and we've definitely proved that we can do it. We went up to the Dream and started ninth, and made all 3 shows, qualified in the top 5. So I think we're there. We just, balancing your efforts as a regional racer and a smaller budget team, you got to be smart about which big ones you choose. So we're definitely open to doing it right now, though, because we're having a good year.
I put you in that class with like Devin Moran or Bobby Pierce and a lot of them that you definitely have the talent, and you've shown you can run every week with whether it's Lucas Oil or World Outlaw late models, if you just had a little funding. But when you do get to go run, and like you had mentioned, going up to Eldora, when you go back to your regional area, like say at Stremme this weekend, do you feel it's definitely helped your program being able to go out and travel?
Oh yeah, it's definitely, this year it's done wonders for us. We literally left and went to Roaring Knob, Pennsylvania, on a random weekend, I believe it was in May, for a Lucas Oil show. Bobby Lake and them asked me to come up, and we went up there and sat on the pole somehow and won our heat race and ran top 3 the whole race and fell back to 5th. But the next race after that was the 2 World Outlaw shows at 2 tracks that we kind of know. And not even just that, but we won those 2 World Outlaw shows. Then we go to a regional race at Gaffney, and we win it. Whenever you go run with those really good guys, it teaches you so much as far as how to drive the right way in long races, and then also it helps you really execute what decisions to make on your race car, because you can't really mess up. You got to be good as far as behind the wheel and making adjustments on the car. So there's a lot less stressful when you go race regional race, because you have, I'm not taking away nothing from anybody, but there's usually about 5 to 10 guys that are going to be really, really tough, whereas you go to a Lucas race or a World of Outlaw and there's 15 guys that can win. So it definitely helps you out, because you just get used to racing that caliber of cars, and then when you come back and you don't race against all those national guys at one time, it makes it a lot easier.
Yeah.
You've really had a good season, and running against those big guys, what do you think is your main contribution to this success you've had this year?
To be honest with you, my crew chief, my dad, Brian, and my little brother, Brandon, we learned more about these cars than we ever have before. We spent time, we actually just bought a Rorik shock machine, and we're learning what makes what work and what works for us. We're learning, things that we've always bought and bolted on the car. We're learning there's more to it than just buying it and bolting it on. A lot of it has to do with just shocks, springs, what packages are run at what tracks, and just actually doing our homework and being able to go test a few times this year has been the biggest change in our program.
That being said, do you feel late model competitions at the highest it's been?
I would have to say at the top level it definitely is. Some of the stuff that Kevin Rumley's bringing to the table, along with Scott, and Gary Winger and Shane Clinton and, those guys, the stuff that they're doing that, we're just now getting into, and is definitely pushing the ceiling open on our dirt late models. I never thought that we would, buy a row rig machine to start dynoing our own shocks and building stuff for, that we have ideas on. I never thought we would, be at that level of racing, because the guys that I have putting stuff on paper are the guys that work for Hendrick and RCR, just a few of my buddies. And we're using, cup level engineers helping us on our dirt late model. So I definitely think that we're at the highest level that it's ever been, and I think and it's just going to keep on going that way, I believe.
Well, that's good. I know it's something where I've always followed you and enjoyed watching you, and I think that you've done a phenomenal job this year. What are some of the races that you're looking forward to coming up, on your schedule?
I'm definitely looking forward to going back to Eldora for the World. That's one of my favorite tracks to run. It's basically my favorite track, and we all 3 days there at the Dream, we qualified third, fourth, and then we transferred through every heat race. We didn't have to run a B main. We ran in the top 3 in every heat race, and I think that now that we got a little more experience in the main events now, that we can get a little bit better in main events, we know what not to do. So I think I'm looking forward to running that one. I'm running the Stick Elliott Memorial this weekend at Gaffney on Saturday, which is a race that we've been very fortunate to win before. And then, like I said, hopefully the North-South 100 next weekend. And then I think we're the big race at Carolina, the Shrine 100, is August. It's the second Tuesday in August. So that's one that I've always loved going to, and we always give away a helmet and auction it off for the Shriners Hospital. So
that's awesome.
Those are the big races that we're planning on going to here in the near future.
Well, cool. Well,
Awesome.
Hey, good luck to you. And
Good luck tonight.
Yeah, tonight.
Thank you.
Remember, 8 wheels turn better than 4.
Of course.
So, anyways, good luck, and make sure you have fun tonight. That's the main thing.
Thank y'all for having me.
Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it, Fergie.
I remember he was at World Finals. It was like 2-3 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And, I mean, he's always a lot of people, I would say he's done the most with his equipment.
Mm-hmm.
And he made it in through the heat into the feature. And, of course, you got every Lucas Oil, guy that showed up for that World Outlaw event. And, I mean, they have tons of cars. And it was really cool to make it get in. The whole crowd was into it. And, again, he's very well liked in the pit area and works hard at it. So
Absolutely. Sounds like he's got his head on straight.
Yep.
But so upcoming races this weekend. Southern Nationals continues. Boyd's tonight. Tri-County, Smoky Mountain, and Tazewell. World of Outlaws, Shawano?
No,
Shawano. And then Cedar Lake.
Yeah, I'm terrible at names because, anyways.
Yeah, where's Dolac?
Yeah, it's.
What are you even trying to talk about?
Because Shane was telling me about it, Clanton, about where they were going tonight, Shawnee or
Shawani.
Anyways,
Shawani
a lot of Indian names up there, and then they go to Cedar Lake, and he was telling me how great
Cedar Lake is. $50,000 to win this weekend. It's a beautiful place.
And Davenport's going.
Yeah,
They're,
it's $50,000. He's gonna earn him another trophy that they don't have room for in the trailer.
It's. I don't know who I'd put my money on this weekend because obviously Jonathan's very strong, but there's a lot of guys working hard. He's got and we'll just see what happens. So
Wing Nation up next with our friends Steve Post and Kendra Jacobs. We're the Stremmes. Thanks for joining us today. You can find Slingin Dirt in the media center at mrn.com, on iTunes, and Race Day Nation on the iHeartRadio app.
This has been Slingin Dirt with Ashley and David Stremme. Listen every Tuesday at 11 Eastern on MRN.com for more news, interviews, and opinion from dirt tracks all over America. Slingin Dirt is a production of the Motor Racing Network. All rights reserved.